My wife had a stunningly beautiful best friend named Sara. The day my wife left for a business trip and Sara came to stay over, I thought my moment of freedom had finally arrived. I went into the night thinking I was the wolf, only to discover I was the sheep. That Saturday evening, I rushed home the moment my plane touched down. I had been away for the better part of 2 weeks, and I missed my wife, Chloe. I was so eager that I didn't even call her, wanting to surprise her completely. When I walked through the door, the rich aroma of tomato and beef stew, my absolute favorite dish, drifted from the kitchen. From the bathroom, I heard the rhythmic sound of a shower. A woman's silhouette was a soft, alluring shape against the frosted glass. My heart began to pound, a blush creeping up my neck. My timing was perfect. Not only was dinner waiting in the kitchen, but dessert was waiting in here. I dropped my suitcase, shucked off my clothes until I was completely naked, and slipped into the bathroom. The light was dim, the air thick with steam. Chloe's back was to me, her skin glistening with soap suds. Without a second thought, I wrapped my arms around her from behind. "Honey, I'm home," I whispered, my voice thick with anticipation. "Tell me you missed me." My hands roamed, but something felt different. Had Chloe undergone some kind of surgery in the 2 weeks I was gone? Her figure felt fuller, firmer. A sharp, feminine shriek pierced the air. In the next instant, a powerful force shoved me back. My feet slipped on the soapy floor, and I flailed, barely catching my balance. I looked up, my eyes wide. The woman standing before me wasn't my wife, Chloe. It was her best friend, Sara. My life flashed before my eyes. Sara scrambled into a corner, her eyes wide with panic as she fumbled for a towel, which she promptly dropped onto the wet floor. She stomped her foot in frustration. "Leo, what are you doing here? Don't look. God, are you still looking?" Trying to cut through the mortifying awkwardness, I feigned nonchalance. I grabbed the shower head, turned on the hot water, and began rinsing the soap from my body. "Well, you got a good look at me, too," I retorted, my voice strained. "So if you stop looking, we'll call it even." The small bathroom was a sauna of swirling steam. Sara was so close I could hear the frantic drumming of her heart, a rhythm that matched my own. A potent, unspoken desire crackled in the air between us, a spark ready to ignite. Just then, the distinct sound of footsteps approached the front door. Chloe was home. In a blur of sheer panic, I bolted from the bathroom, a naked streak of lightning, and dove into the bedroom just as she opened the door. I threw on a pair of pajamas and walked out, trying to look casual. When I emerged, Sara was gone from the bathroom. Chloe burst in, her arms laden with a dozen packages, shouting with excitement. I rushed to help her, and she dropped everything to throw her arms around me and plant a kiss on my lips. "Honey, you're back early. Why didn't you tell me? Oh, did you see Sara? She's staying over." Without thinking, the denial sprang from my lips. "No, I didn't see anyone. The apartment was empty when I got here." Just as I said it, Sara emerged from the guest room, yawning and rubbing her eyes as if she'd just woken up. My heart leaped into my throat, terrified she would expose my lie. But she played along perfectly, greeting me with a casual wave as she always did. She told Chloe she'd been so tired, she had almost fallen back asleep. Chloe and Sara had been inseparable since nursing school. Chloe always said they were closer than sisters. After graduation, Chloe had landed a good nursing job at a top hospital in the city and was now aiming for a promotion to head nurse. Sara, on the other hand, had left the profession and the city after her internship, pursuing a different career path elsewhere. She only ever stayed with us on her rare visits. Truthfully, I barely knew Sara. But after what had just happened in the bathroom, it felt as if a secret, an electric wire, now connected us. The way we looked at each other was different, charged with a new and dangerous meaning. I'd always thought Sara was beautiful, of course, but from a safe, appreciative distance. My fantasies had been just that, fantasies. I'd never imagined I would see her so intimately, let alone hold her in my arms. The memory of her soft skin, the very real and solid feel of her, ignited a reckless urge inside me, a desire to push things further. But with Chloe right there, I kept my impulses chained. We had been married for 6 years, and our relationship was solid. Sometimes, a mountain of consequence stands between a man's thoughts and his actions. Still, my eyes kept drifting back to Sara. When Chloe went into the kitchen to check on dinner, I seized the opportunity. I picked up a large shrimp from a serving platter and placed it in Sara's bowl. As I did, her chopsticks accidentally slipped from her fingers and clattered to the floor. We both bent down to retrieve them. She was wearing a loose-fitting t-shirt with a wide, scooping neckline. As she leaned over, I was granted a breathtaking, unobstructed view. I couldn't help myself. Sara, I murmured, my voice low. I never realized. You have an incredible figure. She straightened up, a playful, Chun-nu pout on her lips. Under the table, her foot snaked out and gave me a light kick, accidentally brushing against a very sensitive spot. A seductive smile played on her lips. Leo, I had no idea you were so naughty. You're bad to the bone, aren't you? Aren't you afraid I'll tell Chloe? I scoffed. If she was going to tell, she would have done it already. Her teasing was like a cat scratching at my insides, making me bolder. Don't they say that good girls love bad boys? I countered. You haven't even seen how bad I can be. Want a demonstration? Just then, Chloe returned from the kitchen, smiling. What are you two whispering about? Sara stood up, giving me a sly, challenging wink. I was just asking Leo if I could borrow you for the night. I plan on monopolizing you and leaving him all alone in his cold, empty bed. I protested loudly. The business trip had already left me pinned up for half a month, and now Sara's flirting had stoked a fire in me. The thought of being left on the sidelines was unbearable, but they ignored my complaints. Sara's next words sent a chill down my spine. Chloe, I don't care what he says. I'm the guest here. One of you has to keep me company. You're not going to just hand Leo over to me, are you? In front of my wife, I didn't dare say a word. Chloe just laughed and playfully poked Sara in the ribs. You wish, you little vixen. Stop trying to seduce my husband. He's immune to other women. I beat a hasty retreat. These two women were a force of nature I couldn't handle. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. I could hear the two of them chatting in the next room. Faintly, I overheard Sara saying she wasn't planning on leaving this time. She was going to stay in the city and start her own business. A strange sense of anticipation bloomed in my chest. Did that mean we'd have more opportunities? As I finally drifted off, my dreams were filled with scandalous, vivid images of Sara and me. Then, in the hazy hours before dawn, I was pulled from my sleep. I felt a woman's body slide into my bed. She was soft, warm, and smelled faintly of perfume. She burrowed under the covers, her face hidden, but I could feel her hot breath and hear her heavy panting, a sound that pushed my senses to their absolute limit. Still half lost in my dream, my body acted on pure instinct. With a surge of strength, I rolled over, pinning her beneath me. You little devil, I growled. Couldn't wait to see just how bad I could be, could you? The woman under me went rigid. She pushed her head out from under the covers and yanked my ear, hard. Leo, you'd better tell me the truth. Did you cheat on me during your trip? Which little tramp were you just dreaming about? The pain snapped me awake. Holy crap. I'd done it again. It was my wife, Chloe. I knew this was a situation where words would only make things worse. Actions were the only answer. And sure enough, it wasn't long before Chloe's protests melted away. The entire time, however, my mind was flooded with the image of Sara in the bathroom, and it sent my performance into overdrive. Half an hour later, Chloe lay pliant in my arms, purring like a kitten, murmuring that she didn't want to go to work. Just then, her phone rang. After a brief conversation, she leaped out of bed and started changing. Honey, I have to run to the hospital. My director just called with an emergency assignment. Oh, by the way, Sara rented a studio for her new yoga business. It's under renovation, so she'll probably be staying with us for a few more days. You don't mind, do you? I'm sure an irrepressible grin was spreading across my face, though I tried to fight it. Of course not, honey. Don't worry. I'll take good care of your friend. Tell Sara not to hesitate if she needs anything. And Sara did not hesitate. The moment Chloe was out the door, she emerged from her room and snatched my car keys from the hook. Leo, you promised Chloe you'd help. No backing out now. I'm borrowing you for the day. You can be my guide and my chauffeur while I go get my business license and tax forms sorted out. Her choice of attire was audacious. She wore a low-cut, tight-fitting tank dress that showed off her impossibly long legs and clung to every curve. Even fresh from my wife's embrace, the sight of her made my eyes go wide and my mouth go dry. Borrow me for as long as you want, I said, my voice turning husky. And we could probably find a few more uses for me. Just being a driver and a guide seems like a waste of talent, don't you think? Leaning against the doorframe to put on her shoes, Sara laughed, a sound like wind chimes. She didn't bother to hide the view as she bent over, and my heart hammered against my ribs. Oh, I agree, she said, her voice dripping with insinuation. As long as you're willing, I'd be happy to slowly explore and drain every last drop of your potential. Her eyes had hooks in them, capable of pulling a man's soul right out of his body, if not for the fear of another high-stakes, near-miss. Like yesterday, getting caught red-handed by Chloe, I would have grabbed her right then and there and made my dreams a reality. But in the end, my fear won out. Once we were outside, walking under the bright sun and away from the charged atmosphere of the apartment, a bit of my sanity returned, and I started to notice that something about Sara felt off. As soon as we got in the car, she said, half joking and half serious, "I should ask Chloe tonight if your loan comes with a buy one, get one free deal. Borrow you by day, get you by night." It was so blunt, so brazen. We had known each other for years, and she had never been like this. Chloe had always told me that Sara had incredibly high standards, that she found most men lacking, which was why she was still single. I was a department head at a large company, moderately successful, yes, but I was also married to her best friend. Why was she suddenly so desperate? I caught the distinct scent of a trap, a feeling that she was deliberately throwing herself at me. What had I done to deserve this kind of attention? If all she wanted was to scratch a physical itch, a woman with her looks could have any man she wanted with a snap of her fingers. While my brain fogged over in the presence of beauty, I wasn't a complete idiot. After we finished running her errands for the yoga studio, it was still early. Sara kept insisting we go home, dropping several heavy hints about Chloe not being home from work yet. That's when the alarm bells in my head started ringing loud and clear. Why was she more eager than I was? Why was she so desperate for us to be alone, so hungry for something to happen? And just at that moment, a call came through from Chloe. Her voice was rushed, the call brief. She was just letting me know that she had to go on a last-minute work trip to the countryside. It would probably be a few days. "Leo, this trip is critical for my head nurse application. I have to do it. Please take care of Sara for me. She's new here. She doesn't know anyone. She's counting on us." "If you're not going to be here," I said carefully, "then maybe Sara should just get a hotel. It's not really appropriate for us to be staying in the house alone together." I could hear commotion in the background on her end. Someone was calling for her to leave. She was running, her voice strained with urgency. "Leo, the fact that you would even say that proves I can trust you. You're an honorable man. Sara is my best friend. You can't kick her out. I've got to go. I'll see you when I get back." What was this? Was she actively serving me an opportunity to cheat on a silver platter? The woman's trust was baffling. The moment I hung up, Sara leaned in close again. This time, she was even more direct, her words a constant stream of flirtatious jabs the entire ride home. She even told me it had been a very long time since she'd been with a man. "Leo, aren't you even a little curious what it's like to be with a woman who isn't Chloe?" "Don't worry," she purred. "I won't tell her." My suspicion intensified. Nothing about this felt right. How could it be that Chloe just happened to get sent away for days, right when Sara was staying with us? When we got home, Sara collapsed onto the sofa, claiming to be exhausted, looking every bit like a seductive kitten. To say I wasn't tempted would be a lie. Any man would be stirred by such a scene. If this had been yesterday, I would have pounced like a wolf. But, thinking about her and Chloe's bizarre behavior, I hesitated. I made an excuse about having work to finish and retreated into the study like a coward. My mind raced. Was this a test? Was Chloe using Sara to see if I would betray our marriage? The thought cooled me down instantly. Sara was alluring, but my marriage to Chloe was stable and happy. I had a good life, and I wasn't about to risk it all for a moment of madness. You don't mess around in your own backyard. I tried calling Chloe, hoping to gauge her tone, but her phone went straight to voicemail. That settled it. Something was definitely wrong. Thankfully, after a while, Sara went to her own room. I made it through the night. The next morning, however, I opened my bedroom door to a sight that made my blood boil. She was in the living room, practicing yoga on the floor in a revealing, skin-tight outfit. Her poses were deliberately provocative. When she saw me, she called out, saying she needed to borrow me again to go shopping for supplies for her studio's grand opening. "Leo, come help me," she cooed, arching her back. "I can't do this stretch by myself." She wanted me to hold her legs down. This woman. This time, I managed to suppress the surge of lust. I told her I had an urgent matter at the office that couldn't wait and flatly refused. The disappointment on her face was clear, quickly replaced by a look of contempt. "Leo, I see now. You're all talk. Your recovery time is a little long, isn't it?" If this truly was a test orchestrated by Chloe, then this wasn't a game between two people, but three. For all I knew, there was another pair of eyes watching me. Maybe even the incident in the shower was a setup. The thought sent a wave of fear and anger through me. When Chloe got back, we were going to have a serious talk. For now, I put on a mask of righteousness. Sara, you're Chloe's best friend. That makes you like a sister to me. Sara burst out laughing and leaned in close again. You certainly weren't acting like I was your sister in the bathroom that first day, were you? You seemed pretty eager to me. I cursed Chloe under my breath. If this was her game, she was going too far. You can't test a man like this. If she pushed me too hard, I might just give in to spite her. With my last shred of self-control, I pushed past Sara and left without looking back. For the next 2 days, I didn't go home. I booked a room in a hotel near my office. Then, I got a call from Chloe. She said she'd be home the next evening and asked if I was excited. I wanted to scream at her through the phone to demand an explanation, but I held my tongue. I had passed her test, after all. I would deal with her when she got back. Let's see what excuses she could possibly have. But no sooner had I hung up with Chloe than my phone rang again. It was Sara. I ignored it, but she called again and again. Finally, I answered. Her voice was trembling with genuine fear. Leo, you have to come back right now. Something's happened at the house. A jolt of real fear shot through me. If something happened to her in my house, I'd never be able to explain it. I rushed home immediately. When I burst through the door, I was greeted by a familiar sound. The hiss of the shower, steam billowing from the bathroom. This woman. The same trick again. But this time, I was smarter. I stood outside the bathroom door, my eyes fixed straight ahead. What's wrong? I asked, my voice cold. Sara's voice, sweet and delicate, came from inside. She told me a drunk man had been pounding on the door, and she had gotten scared, so she called me. Of course. The same old game with a new coat of paint. I sighed. Since I was already here, I wasn't going to leave again. While Sara lingered in the shower, a sudden idea struck me. If this was a conspiracy between her and Chloe, they must have been communicating online. What if I could take a look? Without a second thought, I slipped into the guest room where Sara had been staying. The room was filled with her perfume, a scent that was both intoxicating and maddening. Her underwear was tossed carelessly on the bed, a sight that made my face flush. She was definitely a D-cup. Forcing myself to focus, I found her phone. Damn it. It was locked with a passcode I couldn't possibly guess. I could see a new message notification on the lock screen. The sender's profile picture was Chloe's. Sweat beaded on my forehead. I didn't know Sara well enough to even begin guessing at passwords. As I stood there, stumped, I noticed her laptop was on, the screen glowing. And the chat messages were syncing in real time. My hand trembled as I grabbed the mouse. I only had to read a few lines before my entire world turned to ice. Message after message from Chloe popped up on the screen. Sara, is Leo there yet? If you're really my best friend, you have to sleep with him tonight. No matter what. I'm running out of time. Listen to me, Sara. Leo is just a prude on the surface. He's secretly dying for it. If you're aggressive, he won't be able to resist. I promise. Where did all your charm go? You can't even handle one man. She had even sent a "you can do it" sticker. Who in their right mind pushes their own husband into the arms of another woman, actively creating opportunities for it to happen? The smiling photo of Chloe in her nurse's uniform, an image I had always thought of as angelic, now seemed like a cruel joke at my expense. Frantically, I scrolled up through their chat history. It was long, stretching back for months. The more I read, the more horrified I became. Chloe had hatched this plan months ago, constantly trying to persuade Sara to help her. According to their conversation, she had fallen in love with someone else and wanted a divorce. But she didn't want to lose her share of our multi-million-dollar apartment. We had a prenup. Whoever cheated forfeited their half of the property. Who was he? Who was this other man? If I'd had a knife in my hand, I think I would have gone on a rampage. A cold dread seeped into my bones. The woman I had shared a bed with, the woman I had trusted, had been plotting against me with such cold calculation. And what was Sara's role in all this? Burning with rage, I had to confront her. I shot to my feet and turned around. Sara was standing right behind me, wrapped in nothing but a bath towel. She lunged for the laptop, a look of pure panic on her face. Leo, what did you see? It's not what you think. Let me explain. In a blind fury, I ripped the towel from her body, grabbed her, and threw her onto the bed, pinning her down. You bitch. I snarled. You wanted to sleep with me so badly? Fine. I'll give you what you want. Sara struggled beneath me like a terrified deer. Leo, calm down. Don't blame Chloe. She didn't have a choice. She bit my lip, drawing blood, her resistance fierce. I clamped my hand on her jaw, my voice a low, vicious growl. Tell me, who was the other man? Seeing that the game was up, and after relentless pressure, Sara finally broke and told me the truth. The man Chloe was involved with was a director at her hospital, her direct supervisor. I had met him before, a man in his 40s who wore glasses and had a scholarly air about him. He had also recently gotten divorced. A sanctimonious hypocrite. No wonder Chloe had been so desperate, so willing to throw her own best friend at me to secure her divorce without losing her assets. Sara started to cry, sobbing that she was sorry, that she had only done it for their friendship, that the whole bathroom incident had been Chloe's idea from the start. Then, through her tears, she began to confess her own feelings. "Leo, I really do like you," she wept. "I've always been so jealous of Chloe, having a wonderful husband like you and not appreciating it. But don't blame her. They've been together longer than you have." I let out a hollow, bitter laugh. The surprises just kept coming. Under my pressure, she squeezed out one last, devastating secret. Years ago, it was that same director who had helped Chloe secure her permanent position at the prestigious hospital. Without his influence, a graduate from a simple technical college would have never had a chance. I was just the poor bastard who came along later to clean up the mess. The patsy. I might have been the most pathetic man on the planet. In that moment, I actually smiled, a smile that was uglier than any cry. Sara began to kiss me, her touch now gentle. "Leo, I'm so sorry," she whispered. "If you need to cry, just let it out." I tried to talk her out of it so many times, but she wouldn't listen. I didn't know what else to do. "But you don't have her anymore. Now you have me." The bedroom was dark, lit only by the faint glow of the laptop screen, but I could still see the perfect lines of Sara's body. She was trembling with emotion. Her earnest confession, twisted as it was, sparked something in me. That night, we barely slept. In one frenzied encounter after another, I reclaimed a sliver of my shattered male pride. The next day, I moved in with Sara at her yoga studio. For Chloe, I had only one word: divorce. But before I could even bring it up, she beat me to it, presenting me with the papers herself. The proceedings were swift. We were both guilty, so there was no point in arguing. We even skipped the drawn-out battle over assets. It was ironic. After all of Chloe's scheming, she walked away with nothing she hadn't already owned. At the steps of the city hall, Chloe's eyes were red. "I can't believe you would get together with my best friend, Leo. I'm so disappointed in you." I looked past her to the street, where her lover's car was waiting. I let out a cold laugh. I had been a cuckold for years, and she had the audacity to question my morals? "Chloe, Sara is better than you in every way. She has a better body, she's better in bed, and she's even a better cook. You can't even compare. I'm glad to be rid of you." Even then, I was still desperately trying to protect my own broken pride. Chloe slapped me, hard, then turned and got into her lover's car, which sped away, leaving me behind. I had been too kind. I had even told Sara not to come with me that day, worried it would be too hard on Chloe. And this is how she repays me? But that's how relationships are. No one is truly indispensable. With time, and with Sara by my side, the wound Chloe left began to heal. Sara gave me the complete romance experience. I wasn't lying when I told Chloe she was amazing. She was a tigress in the bedroom and a saint in the kitchen. She would bring me food when I worked late at the office, sitting with me until I was done. My colleagues were green with envy, calling my new girlfriend perfect, almost too perfect to be real. Sometimes, I felt that sense of unreality too, but I could never put my finger on why. Until one day, something happened. I heard that Chloe's former boss, her lover, was getting married. So, Chloe was getting married. The news hit me with a surprising pang of sadness. Since our divorce, Sara and Chloe had become bitter enemies and hadn't spoken. On the day of the wedding, I didn't tell Sara where I was going. Some morbid curiosity pulled me to the venue. I arrived just as the bride and groom were making their entrance. The bride wasn't Chloe. Chloe was sitting at a table with her colleagues, laughing and chatting, looking completely untroubled by the fact that the man she had supposedly ruined her marriage for was marrying someone else. I was utterly bewildered. I couldn't stop myself. I strode over and pulled her outside. It was the first time we had spoken calmly since the divorce, without the angry accusations and hurtful words. With the rage gone, my reason returned. And finally, I understood. All of it, everything, had been an elaborate and cruel plot, engineered from start to finish by Sara. Years ago, Chloe and Sara had interned at the same hospital. In the end, only Chloe was offered a position. Sara had held a grudge ever since, refusing to acknowledge her own professional shortcomings and instead convincing herself that Chloe must have used deceitful means to get the job. She never showed her resentment, of course. Chloe, ever the innocent, continued to treat her as her dearest friend, showering her with kindness over the years. My happy marriage with Chloe, which she often gushed about to Sara, only fueled Sara's jealous rage. But even that wasn't enough to make her orchestrate such a devastating plan. After our talk, I started digging. It took a long time, but I finally uncovered Sara's true motive for getting close to me. Someone had paid her. She was hired by a competitor to steal confidential information from my company. And because I had trusted her so completely, she had already succeeded. Multiple times. It explained why my department's projects had been consistently failing lately. The CEO had given me an ultimatum. If we lost the next bid, I was fired. That was Sara's endgame. It's embarrassing to admit. I always thought of myself as a smart guy, yet I had let a single, fabricated chat history convince me to divorce my wife. I know now that the chat account wasn't even Chloe's. It was a fake profile Sara had created, a one-woman show designed to destroy my life. I didn't let on that I knew. I continued to play along with Sara. Then, I fed her a set of carefully crafted, false documents. Sure enough, the day after she got her hands on the confidential information, she vanished. Shortly after, my company won the bid for the project we had been fighting for. As for Sara, I heard she was beaten badly and left for dead in a derelict lot on the outskirts of the city. She was eventually found and arrested by the police. The charge, corporate espionage. The key evidence that convicted her was provided by me. The fallout meant I was demoted and took a pay cut, but that didn't matter. What matters now, what keeps me up at night, is that Chloe won't speak to me. So tell me, what in the world can a man do to win back the wife he was stupid enough to lose? I'm desperate.